Welcome to Virtualize Everything. Today we're going to be taking a look at how to install Debian 13 Server in a VM here on Proxmox 9. Okay, so the first thing we're going to want to do here in order to install Debian 13 Server on our Proxmox server is to get a copy of the Debian install ISO. So in order to do that, we're going to want to go to our local drive if this is a default setup of Proxmox. If it isn't, please choose the storage drive where you would like to place your ISOs. It should be noted, since this is a beginner tutorial, that you usually have two drives on your Proxmox system by default. One where VMs, containers, and other actual virtualization information is installed or stored for your VMs, and one that is your local system, and that's where you keep backups, container templates, ISOs, and such. By default, if you're using LVM, you're going to store all of your ISOs, container templates in local, and you're going to install all that VM information in local LVM. If you have ZFS, it'll be local ZFS. If you've added a drive, you can configure these settings to be slightly different. So you're going to be on your own there. I do consider adding a drive to be more of an advanced user thing, so I'm hoping you'll be able to figure that out without following this tutorial or this part of the tutorial. So now that we're here at the local download page and we've selected ISO images, we want to go ahead and select download from URL. What this is going to do is allow us to download the image directly to our Proxmox server, so we don't have to download it to our client system and then upload it to the server. So after you've clicked download from URL, we can head over to the Debian website like so, and we can press download. Pressing download's going to give us this exact image here, and you can notice that it is a disk image file and it has a name. Now, like I said, we don't want to download this to our client system and then upload to the server. So let's go ahead, hit cancel, and then we're going to hover over where we just clicked download, and we're going to choose copy image address or copy link address. The terminology may be different if you're in Linux or if you're on a Mac, but it all has the same general meaning. So let's go ahead, copy that, head back to our Proxmox system, and we're going to paste it in here. Then we're going to press query URL. What that's going to do is it's going to look at the URL that we just pasted in, and it's going to try to receive or identify the best file name for the ISO image in this case. And you can notice that it does end in ISO. Let's now see if we can use an advanced feature that will hash the file for us and tell us if the file is indeed good after it's downloaded. If you don't have this advanced feature visible, you want to go down here and check the advanced box. Now let's go back to the Debian website. So after a few minutes of looking around the Debian site, I was indeed able to find an SHA sum so that we will be able to use that advanced feature here in Proxmox. I will provide a link to this directory or this web page in the write-up that I provide to you either on my website or in the description of this video. So we want to go ahead at this point, now that we've found our sum, and we want to open up the page, and we're going to head back to the Proxmox web interface and look at the file name. It looks like we're going to downloading Debian 13 AMD64 net install. Now, it's really, really important when you're doing these hash algorithms that you get the correct file. If not, your whole entire download step will fail. Back here at the image, we can see that the one we want is going to be the first file. So let's go ahead, copy the entire length of this number, and we decided this was SHA 512, which you can see in the URL, not on my screen recorder, but if you had this page recorded. Now at the Proxmox web interface, we're going to choose the hash algorithm of SHA 512 and we'll paste in these numbers. Now we can go ahead and hit download at this point, and Proxmox is going to automatically connect to the Debian website, download this file, and then hash it. I will return back to you when this step is completed. So now that we have task OK, we're safe to close out this screen if we haven't already done so. With the screen closed out, you should see that your ISO has appeared in your ISO images file inside of your local drive. At this point, it's time to start setting up your VM. To set up your VM, we can click Create VM, and this will allow us to access our VM creation wizard. Here we can give this a name. Today I'm going to be giving it a name of Debian 13. Then I'm going to go ahead and press Next. And at OS, I'm going to select the Debian 13 image and press Next. Now, this step isn't necessary, but I have been noticing and reading a little bit about images and different operating systems migrating from the classic grub boot to UEFI. So I'm going to start configuring all of my VMs at this point to use UEFI, so I have less problems down the road. In order to configure UEFI, I'm going to configure it here in the BIOS settings under the System Setup Wizard. Clicking on the BIOS option, I can choose UEFI, and then I can select the storage device. You can notice that the EFI storage file I have selected is going to be the same as the one that I'm going to be storing all of my VM information in. Keeping it together, I feel, keeps it nice, neat, and clean. Although you're not required to keep EFI disk information on the same drive as your VM images, I like to. I'm also going to go ahead and uncheck pre-enrolled key, and then I'm going to check UEFI guest agent, and then I'm going to check QEMU guest agent in order to be able to install some software down the road that's going to allow Proxmox to better communicate with my VM. Moving forward, I'm going to go ahead and press next, and this is where I'm going to configure my disk's drive. I'm going to go ahead and give this image 50 gigs, and if you're on an SSD, you also want to make sure you click discard. Then I'm going to go ahead and press next. I want to give this 2 CPU cores, and I like to change the CPU type from the standard default to host, as I feel it gets you better performance. Then I'm going to press next, and since I have plenty of available RAM and most of today's operating systems require a minimum of 2 gigs, I'm going to go ahead and up this to 4096. Minimum memory can be set to a lower number. We're going to set ours to 2048, which allows Proxmox to pull 2 gigs of RAM from this and share it if need be. These aren't required configurations, but if set, they can help your system performance if you're running into a system resource bottleneck down the road. Pressing next, we configure our bridges. If you're using a default setup, VMBR0 will be perfect for your setup. If you're like me and have other network configurations, be sure to select them here. Pressing next, we're asked to confirm everything, and then we press finish. Proxmox at this point will create our VM, and our VM will appear here in the Data Center tab. Okay, so now that we have our Debian VM set up using the VM wizard, we can take a look at some settings and decide if we need to set them. In order to take a look at these settings, we're going to first select our Debian VM on the Data Center dropdown by just clicking on it and making sure it's highlighted. Of note, console is how we're going to communicate with this VM if we're not using an external console. Hardware is the place where we can add hardware, and there's a dropdown right here of some of the different options that we can add. Now, in adding some of these, they can't be added because it's not a cloud init image, or we don't have PCI enabled on this particular server. But you can add things like USB if you had USB plugged in, Ethernet adapters, CD-ROMs, hard drives, or even import a hard drive image. Moving on down, this is where you'd configure Cloud Init if you did have a Cloud cloud image, but we're not working with a cloud image today. Options, some notes here. Most of these will just be left alone, and Proxmox automatically configures most of them for you. But this is how you configure start on boot, so you can select it, hit edit, and then you could select it and press OK if you wanted this VM to boot on boot. You also want to take a look, especially if you're configuring start on boot, of this start shutdown order. And this allows you to start your VM or shut it down before other things. And if other things depend on it, you can also set a timer. This timer affects how long your VM takes before it does the next operation. Boot order, if you're doing some custom setup, which we're not here, you can choose different boot drives and the order they boot up in, just like in your standard PC bare metal BIOS. And then I usually don't mess with any of these other ones other than this QEMU guest agent. Once we get the system installed, this guest agent will allow Proxmox to communicate, and we did set that up to be enabled during the VM wizard process. If you forgot to check that box though, you could come here, select it, hit edit, and turn it on. Moving on, this is task history. It'll tell you how many times you booted up and some of the other stuff. You can monitor. I've never really used this. Backup allows you to back this up. You will back up to the local LVM drive. Replication and snapshots I don't use very often, but they are here. Firewall is how you configure your firewall rules. By default, your firewall is off, so if you would like to use your firewall, after you set your rules here, you'd come to options, highlight firewall, hit edit, check this box, and press OK. And then permissions, whether you have different groups or APIs or users that you want to be able to use this VM, you'd configure them here. Up here where it says no tags, you can add tags by clicking on the pencil. I have some pre-configured here. We won't be using tags here because none of my tags that I use in my system will fit for this particular VM. But if you wanted to add a tag, say testing, you'd enter it here, press OK, and now it shows up. And you also notice it will show up here in the data center dropdown. Pressing the pencil and then pressing the minus will get rid of that tag, and then you can hit the check mark and it'll go away. Okay, so now it's time to go up here to start and start up this VM, and we can go to the console. A lot of times I like to break consoles out for this process, and that is entirely up to you. Breaking the console out makes it a lot easier to leave it open and do other things. And a lot of times if your console window gets closed, Linux will stop doing what it's doing, or it will blank out your console and you'll lose your information. So with that, just keep that in note. And we're going to use the graphical install today, so make sure the box is over top of it and press enter. We're going to use US English, so we're once again going to make sure it's selected. Hit continue. We can use United States, so let's press continue. And we can use American English, so let's press continue. We can set our host name here. I'm going to leave my host name as Debian, so I'm going to press continue. It wants our domain name, and we can also just press continue if we have nothing to enter there. Root password. Make sure you set a password, make sure it's of decent length, and try to use some capitals and special characters inside of your password. Once you've done so and entered it in both fields, you can go ahead and set continue. Now it wants your user account name. We'll be using VE here today. You can use whatever you want to use for your system. Pressing continue will move you along to entering the password for that account. I'm going to ask you to select a time zone. We're going to leave Eastern selected and press continue. Now it asks us to set up a drive. Now, guided entire disk is fine. I like to use entire disk setup LVM with the guided because I like to use LVM. If I decide to use this VM for something else and need to add storage or whatnot, LVM makes it a little bit easier to do so. So we'll select that, press continue. We're once again going to press continue because we only have one drive in this system. We're going to use all files in one partition, which is recommended for new users. You could set something else up like that, but I'm not going to do that in this tutorial. And I've never personally run into a use case where I needed to. It's going to ask for permission to write changes to the disk. Let's go ahead and set a yes and press continue. Now it's going to ask the amount for the guest. We're going to use the entire drive, which becomes the default. So we'll once again hit continue, and it once again asks us for permission. If it can write all of this to the disk, we'll tell it yes, press continue. Going to ask for permission to scan for additional media. We don't have any in here, no drivers, no nothing, so we'll leave that no and press continue. Select US, select the first Debian mirror. We have no proxy, so we'll once again hit continue. We don't want to participate in the survey. What that means is anything that you're doing on your system to some degree is encrypted and sent back from my understanding. Please correct me in the comment section if I am wrong, but I don't really want to participate in something like that, so I'll leave no selected and I'll hit continue. Now here's the point of the installation where you get to choose whether or not you're going to use Ubuntu as a desktop or as a server. So since this is a server installation and that's what you're here for, I'm going to show you how to set this up as a server. Now the most basic way to set this up as a server with no added anything is to make sure we uncheck these boxes. From here to here are all desktop environments that are installed for Ubuntu. We have two server setup configurations here that, well, this isn't a server setup configuration. This can be run on a desktop server, so can this, but they're primarily used for servers. We can set, by clicking here, we can set this up automatically as a web server. I've never actually used this one. I always do a blank server install and then add my web server software. So I don't know if this is NGINX or Nginx or Apache. So I definitely just leave that blank. If you want to be able to SSH into your server for easier setup and configuration, you can go ahead and check this one. I usually do go ahead and check this out of the box. So since you have a console, you're good to communicate with your web interface, with your VM, but SSH makes it a lot easier to copy and paste and do some of those more advanced desktop features while you interact with your server. So I like to use it for a lot of setup tutorials and whatnot. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it checked, and then we can hit continue. And this is going to do the actual installation of Debian right here. Now we can go ahead, hit continue, and our reboot will happen. You can press enter if you don't want to run the clock out, and you're at your first login screen. Let's go ahead and log in with our user account. We can type in IPA to see that we have an IP address. And then the first thing I always do on a new installation is enter su root, enter my password, and then I execute an update. apt update, and it looks like all of our packages are updated. If there were anything that needed to be updated, I'd then go ahead and enter an apt upgrade -y to go ahead and install them. Since we have nothing to install here, I'm unable to show you that step. So the last thing we want to do here is make sure QEMU guest agent is working so our VM communicates with our Proxmox system. The fastest and easiest way to do that, and most modern versions of Debian have done this in the past, is to come up here to summary, and we see an IP address here instead of something like no connection. So we know that QEMU guest agent is indeed working with our Debian container. So we do have everything set up at this point, and we have everything updated. So at this point, I'm going to conclude this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you now have the confidence to start using Debian 13 server for some of your Proxmox projects. As always, have a good night.